I refused to let my parents meet my daughter. Now my whole family says I'm the villain. I found out my parents wanted to meet my daughter from a Facebook comment. Not a phone call, not a card. A comment under a photo my cousin posted, tagging my mother. "Aunt Diane, isn't it time you met your granddaughter? She's almost 2. My mom replied with a heart emoji. That's it. That's how I learned my parents had apparently been thinking about my daughter. Not from them, from a comment section. I know this is long, but I need to get this off my chest, because everyone in my family thinks I'm the monster here, and I need someone, anyone, to tell me I'm not losing my mind. My name doesn't matter. Let's just say I'm 32, married, and I have a daughter, Maya, who just turned 2. And I have not spoken a real word to my parents in 3 years, not out of spite. Not because of one big fight, because for 29 years, I was the daughter who existed in the background of my own family's photo albums, while my younger brother Ethan got to be the son. Capital S. The one whose report cards went on the fridge. The one whose baseball trophies got their own shelf. The one my mother introduced to strangers at church as my son, the future doctor. He's an insurance adjuster now, by the way, but that's beside the point. Me. I was our other one. I heard her say that, at a birthday party, to a neighbor. And this is our other one. I used to think I was being dramatic when I felt like a guest in my own house. I'm not being dramatic. I have 3 decades of receipts. And now that I have a daughter of my own, my parents suddenly remembered I exist not for me but for her. And I said no. And now I'm the villain. Let me back up, because you need to understand what never treated me like their daughter actually looked like, day to day, for almost 3 decades. It wasn't dramatic abuse. There were no bruises. If you'd looked at us from the outside, we looked like a totally normal family. Dad worked in logistics. Mom did part-time bookkeeping, 2 kids, split-level house in the suburbs. Minivan in the driveway. Nobody would have flagged us for anything, but inside that house there were 2 currencies, attention and money, and Ethan got both and I got the leftovers. When Ethan wanted to play travel baseball, my parents found $2,400 for the season without blinking. When I asked, a year later, if I could do competitive dance, something I'd wanted for years, my mom said, "We just don't have it right now, honey. Maybe next year." Next year never came. Ethan's travel team got new gear every season. When Ethan struggled in algebra, my dad hired a tutor twice a week. When I struggled in the exact same class 2 years earlier, I was told to just try harder and figure it out with the textbook. Every school project Ethan did, my mom basically did it for him. Glitter, poster board, the whole thing, staying up till midnight helping him glue macaroni onto a solar system model. My projects were things I did alone at the kitchen table while she watched TV in the next room. I used to keep a mental tally, even as a kid, without even meaning to. Like some part of me knew I'd need the evidence one day. Birthday parties. Ethan got a bounce house rental 2 years in a row. I got a cake from the grocery store and we'll do something special another time. That another time happened maybe once when I turned 10. And even then, my mom spent half the party fussing over Ethan because he'd scraped his knee on the driveway. When we got older, it got quieter but somehow worse. Ethan's college tuition at a 4-year state school was fully paid for by my parents. No loans, no debate. When it was my turn 2 years later, I was told, and I quote, "You're smart, you'll figure out scholarships and loans. You don't need us to hold your hand through everything like your brother does." I graduated $38,000 in debt. Ethan graduated with 0. I want to be clear, I don't hate Ethan. He didn't ask for any of this. He was a kid too. He just happened to be the kid my parents decided was worth investing in. And I was the kid who got told repeatedly in a dozen small ways that I was expected to just be fine. Independent, low maintenance, the easy one. Which, when you're a kid, doesn't feel like a compliment. It feels like being told you don't matter enough to worry about. My therapist, yes, I have one, yes, I needed one, has a phrase for it. The invisible child, not the scapegoat, not the golden child, just invisible. The one who doesn't get punished, doesn't get praised, just gets overlooked over and over until they stop expecting anything else. By the time I moved out at 22, I had already quietly accepted that my relationship with my parents was never going to be a warm one. I called on holidays. I showed up for Christmas. I kept the peace. That was the deal I made with myself. Minimal contact, minimal expectations, minimal disappointment. Then I met my husband, Daniel. Then we got married, my parents came, sat in the second row, and my mom cried more at Ethan's wedding a year later from what I heard. But whatever, I told myself, that's fine, I don't need that. Then I got pregnant, and something in me changed. Because for the first time, I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I had someone else to protect. And the second that pink line showed up on the test, I made a promise to myself, silently, standing in my bathroom. My kid is never going to know what it feels like to be the other one. I didn't cut my parents off when I got pregnant. I want to be fair here, I gave them chances. I told my mom I was pregnant over the phone, and she said, and I remember this word for word, "Oh wow." Well, tell Ethan and Sarah, they'll want to know too, they're trying as well. Not congratulations. Not how are you feeling. A redirect to my brother, mid-conversation about his future kids. Before mine even existed. That should have told me everything. It didn't yet. I was still holding out hope, because that's what you do when it's your parents, you keep holding out hope way longer than you should. Maya was born in the spring. My parents did not come to the hospital. They live 40 minutes away. Ethan and Sarah's first kid, born 8 months later, got my parents in the delivery room within an hour of the birth. I found that out from a group text. For Maya's birth, I got a card in the mail 2 weeks later, a card, with a $20 Target gift card inside. That was it. And I told myself, okay, fine, this is who they are. I'm not going to fight for something they've never been willing to give. I'll just let it go quietly. I stopped initiating calls. My mom stopped too, pretty much immediately, which told me everything about how much effort had ever really been coming from her side to begin with. My dad never called anyone in our family ever, so that wasn't new. 3 years went by like that. Quiet, distant, peaceful, honestly, in a sad kind of way. And then that Facebook comment happened. After I saw that comment, I didn't say anything for 2 days. I just sat with it. Then my mom actually called me first time in over a year. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, like no time had passed at all. "I saw the pictures your cousin posted. Maya is just precious. We'd really love to be part of her life. Grandparents are so important for kids, you know." I remember standing in my kitchen, gripping the counter, thinking, where was that energy for the last 32 years? I told her I needed to think about it. She got quiet, then a little sharp, and said, "Well, don't you think that's a little unfair to Maya? She deserves grandparents." That sentence sat with me for weeks. She deserves grandparents. Not "we love her and want to know her." Not even "we're sorry for how things were with you." Just "Maya deserves this," as if I was the obstacle standing between my daughter and something owed to her. Instead of a mother trying to figure out if it was safe to let 2 people who'd hurt me my whole life anywhere near my kid. I decided to at least hear them out before deciding anything for real. Daniel and I agreed to one supervised coffee meetup at a public cafe just to see what this was actually about. That meeting is where everything cracked open. My mom brought a gift bag for Maya, a stuffed elephant, a little dress, nothing crazy, but more effort than she'd shown in 3 years combined. My dad barely spoke, same as always. About 20 minutes in, my mom started talking about family and roots and how important it is for kids to know where they come from. And then she said something that stopped me cold. "We really learned a lot from our time with Ethan's kids. We want to do better this time." I asked her what she meant by that. She got flustered, waved it off, "Oh, nothing, just grandparenting is a learning process," but I clocked it. There was a story there, a real one, so I did something I probably should have done years ago. I called Sarah, my sister-in-law, Ethan's wife, and Sarah told me everything. Turns out, my parents had done this exact routine with Ethan's kids first, except in reverse order from what you'd expect. When Ethan's first kid was born, my parents were obsessed. Showed up constantly, posted every milestone on Facebook, tagged everyone, took the baby to church, introduced her around as our first grandbaby like she was a trophy. Sarah said it felt intense but nice at first, grandparents who actually showed up. But it wasn't about the baby, it was about how it made them look. Sarah said my mom would get almost competitive about it, bragging to her friends, posting professional photo shoots she'd paid for. Basically using the baby as a prop for her own image as the doting grandmother. When Sarah tried to set normal boundaries, no unannounced visits, no posting photos without asking first, my mom got cold. Started making comments about Sarah being controlling and keeping the baby from her real family. Then, when Sarah got pregnant with their second kid and had a rough pregnancy, needing more help and less socializing, my parents' interest just evaporated. No more constant visits, no more photo shoots. My mom apparently told a mutual family friend that Sarah's second pregnancy was exhausting to be around. My parents missed that baby's first birthday because, I'm not making this up, they had a cruise booked. Sarah said it took her over a year of therapy to realize what had actually happened. My parents hadn't wanted a relationship with their grandchildren. They'd wanted an audience. A prop for the version of themselves they wanted other people to see, the loving, doting grandparents. The second the prop required real, unglamorous, unrewarded effort, they lost interest. And now here they were, doing the exact same opening act with my daughter. The gift bag. The grandparents are so important line. The Facebook comment for an audience of my extended family, not for me, not for Maya. I asked Sarah point blank, why now? Why come after Maya specifically, after ignoring us for years? And she told me the part that really broke something open. My Aunt Carol, my mom's sister, had been on them for months. Apparently there'd been a family gathering I wasn't at, where someone mentioned Maya, and Aunt Carol had said, loud enough for people to hear, something like, "It's a shame Diane doesn't have a relationship with her own granddaughter." People are starting to talk. My mother, who has spent her entire life deeply, deeply obsessed with what people think of her, could not let that stand. This wasn't remorse. This wasn't a change of heart. This was reputation management, dressed up as family love. I sat in my car after that call with Sarah for probably 20 minutes before I could drive home. Everything lined up. Every uncomfortable little detail from that coffee meetup suddenly made sense. My mom hadn't asked me a single question about Maya's personality, what she liked, what her days looked like. She'd asked about getting a professional photo taken together for the holiday card. She'd asked if Maya could come to church with them so people could finally meet her. They didn't want my daughter. They wanted a prop, the same one they'd already used up and discarded once with Ethan's kids. And I was expected to hand her over for round 2. I told Daniel everything that night, and we agreed no. Not like this. Not without real accountability, not without actual change, not just to fix my parents' image at a Sunday potluck. So I did something that blew the whole thing up. I called my mom and told her calmly that I wasn't comfortable moving forward, and that if she wanted a relationship with Maya, it had to start with an honest conversation about our relationship, mine and hers, first. No photo shoots, no introductions to the church, just an actual apology and actual change over time with boundaries. She lost it. Told me I was punishing an innocent child for my own issues. Told me grandparents have rights. They don't, legally, not really, not in most states. But that's beside the point. Told me I was just like Sarah, being controlling and keeping her from her family. I told her about my conversation with Sarah. I laid it all out, the photo shoots, the disappearing act during the hard pregnancy, Aunt Carol's comment at the family gathering, all of it. Silence. Then, that is not what happened, and honestly I'm disappointed you'd believe Sarah over your own mother. That was it for me. I said, I'm not doing this, and I hung up. Within 48 hours, the group text exploded. My mom had called Aunt Carol, my dad, even a couple of cousins. And the story that got passed around was that I was cutting off innocent grandparents out of jealousy and bitterness, and using my daughter as a weapon. Nobody mentioned the gift bag stunt. Nobody mentioned Ethan's kids. Nobody mentioned 3 decades of me being the other one. Aunt Carol texted me directly, the same aunt whose comment had started this whole thing, and told me I was being cruel and that grandkids deserve better than parents holding grudges. I actually laughed out loud reading that. Alone in my kitchen, because the audacity of the woman whose gossip started this entire performance, now lecturing me about cruelty, was almost impressive. Even Ethan texted me, which surprised me, because he's never really weighed in on family stuff. He said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, that he understood where I was coming from given how things were growing up, but that he thought I should let them try for Maya's sake. Because kids need grandparents. Even my own brother, who benefited from the exact imbalance that broke me, couldn't fully see it. Or didn't want to. I felt like I was drowning for about a week. Everyone had a version of the story where I was the problem. Nobody had the version where 2 people spent 30 years treating me like an afterthought, and then showed up wanting access to my daughter the second it became socially useful to them. Here's where it turned, though. Sarah, of all people, went to bat for me. She posted nothing publicly. She's smarter than that, but she quietly told the truth to anyone in the family who asked her directly, including Aunt Carol. She confirmed the photo shoots. She confirmed the missed birthday for the cruise. She confirmed the comment about her second pregnancy being exhausting to be around. Because it turns out Sarah had been carrying the exact same weight I had, alone, for years. And she was done protecting my parents' image too. Aunt Carol went quiet after that. My mom stopped calling around trying to build her case once people started asking Sarah for the receipts instead of just taking my mom's word for it. My parents did not apologize. I want to be honest about that. There was no movie moment, no tearful realization. My mom sent one more message, about 3 weeks after everything blew up, saying she hoped I'd come to my senses and that the door is open when you're ready to stop being so difficult. I didn't respond. Daniel and I made the decision together. No contact, indefinitely, until, and only if, my parents were willing to have an honest, accountable conversation about the actual pattern. Not a PR-managed relationship with Maya that skipped over the part where they hurt me for 3 decades and did the same thing to Ethan's kids before her. Maya is too. She has grandparents, Daniel's parents, who show up, who ask real questions, who remembered her favorite stuffed animal from one visit to the next without being told twice. She's not missing anything. I made sure of that. I wasn't going to add this part, but enough happened that I think it belongs here. About 2 months after everything blew up, I found out again, through Sarah. Because apparently she and I are just family intelligence partners now, that my parents had tried the exact same. We want to be part of her life, routine, with a family friend's granddaughter. Not even blood family. A friend of my mom's from church has a granddaughter close to Maya's age, and my mom apparently started showing up to that family's events, offering to babysit, buying gifts, telling people at church what a hands-on grandma figure she'd become. I don't know what that is, exactly. Loneliness. Ego, some desperate need to be seen as the grandmother she never actually was to any of her own grandkids. But it confirmed something for me. This was never really about Maya or about Ethan's kids either. It was about my mother needing an audience for a role. She liked the idea of playing far more than she liked actually doing the work of playing it. Aunt Carol, to her credit, texted me an actual apology a few weeks ago, said she'd misjudged the situation and was sorry for the comment that started it all. I appreciated that. It's more accountability than I ever got from my own parents. My mom did send one more message last week, short, I miss my granddaughter, not I miss you, not I'm sorry, just that. I read it twice, and then I closed my phone and went and made pancakes with my actual daughter, who has no idea any of this is happening, and who is, as far as she knows, deeply, completely loved by every adult in her life who's actually shown up for her. That's the only ending I need right now.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more fascinating Reddit tales, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to Archives of Reddit. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next story.